You're watching Seven Rivers Sports here on Coulee Region. I'm your host, Terry Erickson. Each week, an inside look into sports, wellness, and into fitness. Well, this week we profile an elite runner in the La Crosse area that I just happened to meet recently on a run near Riverside Park. And what an incredible way to meet somebody that is very special. My guest this week, Margaret Ho. Welcome to the show, Margaret.
Thanks, Terry.
Well, fresh off an October 17th win in the Women's Wild Duluth 50K race, which converts to 31 miles, by the way. And what an incredible win. You were confident when we talked, but yet you were a little bit worried about the weather. But talk about that.
Yeah, so this was my third 50K race. I've done a few ultras. This is my third 50K, and it was my slowest time. First of all, because it was a very technical race on the Superior Hiking Trail in Duluth. Second, because it started snowing right when I started running at 7 a.m. Got to be about 2 inches of snow and then started turning into rain at the end. So it was a combination of technical running, so tons of rocks and roots, elevation changes, plus the winter running thrown in there with the slippery terrain.
So we're going to talk about your other races too throughout the interview today, but talk about preparation for that trail running and those adventurous those adventurous trip that you have on certain terrain versus running on concrete or asphalt.
Yeah, so you really have to, train to race. So train as close to the surface that you're going to race on as possible. Fortunately, I did have the opportunity to go up to the Superior Hiking Trail. My coach and friend tried to do the Superior Hiking Trail all the way through, which is 310 miles. So I got to go along and help him on that attempt and also get some good running in on those more technical trails. Some sections of Hickson are pretty good too for getting that technical running, but not quite like you get up there in northern Minnesota.
I've tried to run those in Arizona on some hiking trails with rocks and trees and so on, and I know the challenge, and this was only, I think, a 5K, so and you're running 31 miles for gosh sake. So, well, let's just kind of go back down memory lane.
Okay.
Let's just go back to when you were very young, prior to high school, and how you got interested in running in athletics.
Sure. So I come from a very athletic family. My mom would always go out running a couple times a week just to stay in shape. We grew up playing a lot of soccer, so running for soccer, and playing a lot of tennis. So in about 7th grade, 8th grade, I did track and kind of gravitated towards the longer distances because I didn't have a lot of natural speed for the sprints, wasn't really good at any field events. And I'm from Wisconsin Rapids, which is where the Wisconsin High School State cross-country meet takes place. And I grew up about less than half a mile from the race course, so we would always go out and watch the cross-country runners doing it, and I just always thought it looked kind of crazy, but also kind of fun, crazy but fun.
So that was your inspiration,
yeah,
watching those athletes compete when you were very young and being in a family. Well, again, this week our guest is Margaret Ho, an elite runner in the La Crosse area. I would even take that as to a very elite runner rather than just elite. Well, you enter high school at Lincoln High School in Wisconsin Rapids. An impressive resume, 4 high school cross-country letters, 2-time Wisconsin Valley Conference champion, sectional champ, all-state, 4 times high school scholar athlete, and all-conference in soccer. Oh, my goodness. You were beginning to be famous.
Yeah, I mean, the first 2 seasons of cross-country in high school was more just kind of figuring out what the whole sport was and realizing that you have to run year-round if you want to be good at cross-country, not just doing like two months of cross-country and then not running for the rest of the year and expecting to improve. But then learning that, you have to put in the practice for running, just like with any other sport. You have to give it the time and the dedication to improve at it. And then in my junior year of high school, I saw that I was actually pretty decent at it, that I could continue to do it in college and beyond.
Not pretty decent, very decent. But then you were all conference in soccer too, so you were a two-sport athlete.
Yeah, yep.
You were gifted in both.
Yeah, I enjoyed soccer more for the running part of it. I was what we called the man marker, so if one of the other teams had a star player, they would basically just have me tag along that person and shut them out of play, like prevent them from getting the ball or from trying to score goals or anything. So I would just like run after them.
So you concluded chapter number 1 in your life with a lot of success, and then all of a sudden then you embark on the next chapter, which happens to be at St. Olaf. I'm familiar with that in the MIAC conference, and right out of the gate, cross country MVP newcomer in 2007, plus academic honors in your first year at St. Olaf.
Yeah, so going into college cross country was kind of a little bit of a shock, and just seeing how much effort you have to put into it, going from high school into college, and just the change in the competitiveness level. I had a big learning curve in that first year. Decided after my first season of cross country that I didn't really want to do track. I just needed a little bit more of a break from that level of competitiveness year-round. So that's when I started getting into marathoning right after that first year of cross country.
Yeah, then on to, you decided to come back to the state of Wisconsin. You transferred to Eau Claire. And what a blessing for Eau Claire, because here at Eau Claire you were also the MVP newcomer. You received academic honors at Eau Claire. You were part of a team champ in 2009-10, All-American. And one thing I really stood out, I'm familiar with Judy Kruckman, who was a former commissioner and head of the WIAC, and you received the cross-country Scholar Athlete of the Year, graduated cum laude, and Scholar Athlete Award. I mean, you did everything. You brought Eau Claire cross country to another level.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it came from just a really excellent team culture and coaching at UW Eau Claire. It really was a much better fit for me personally than the other college that I went to, in terms of the academic environment and the athletic environment. The coach really valued each athlete as an individual person and their individual needs to grow as an athlete. So for me, it was not pounding down the miles. I was never a high mileage athlete. So he would give me more cross training so that I could get that recovery in. And he went by minutes per week instead of miles, so that it focused more on like that quality training. And just being with an awesome group of other runners too, who cared about their academics just as much as I did.
So you were a dedicated runner, and a lot of runners at the high school and the college level, and then post-college, overtrain. They don't cross-train. They don't take a day of rest. And you wrote an article on mindfulness and the value of taking a day off. You know, all 5 of our children were competitive athletes, and they have my personality, meaning they sometimes don't know when to rest. And you've learned that, and you use it now too, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Today was my first run back since my 50K, like 9 days ago. And that downtime of just, being lazy and kind of eating a little bit more junk food and just relaxing a little bit really kind of refreshes everything, and at least for me helps me focus on what I want to accomplish next for running.
But a lot of athletes that are competitive, determined, and almost to the point where they're fanatic in their training, they struggle with just going down another level and relaxing.
Yeah. Well, for me, I find that it helps to not just not do anything on those days off when you know you need to recover, but find something that is like the equivalent amount of time as running that can still kind of get you that mental relaxation as running can provide. So whether it's yoga for an hour and a half, that's excellent recovery. Or even just napping for an extra hour a day and calling that your training for the day.
Well, mindfulness is a difficult thing to master in any competitive situation. How do you overcome distractions, and when there's setbacks, when there's pain, when you're not feeling the best? Because certainly there are days when I'm a weekend warrior and I compete quite as much as I can, but there are days when I struggle mentally. How do you overcome that?
Ooh, gosh, I'd say I overcome it just by keeping in mind what the ultimate goal is, and what's going to serve me today to achieve that ultimate goal. So sometimes it is going to be, if I don't want to go for a run, still going out for that run and doing that workout. Other times, and this comes down to really just knowing yourself as a person and as an athlete, sometimes it is going to be having that self-discipline to say, no, today I just really need to recover, do something else, eat some chocolate, do something a little bit fun, or just like go hang out with friends instead of running, because it's all about balance in the end.
Yeah, but when you take a day off and you don't lay on the couch and just eat chocolate and
sometimes I do.
But most times when athletes take a day off, if they're runners, they do something else, as you said. They stretch, they bike, they do yoga, they do meditation, they do other things. Do you recommend that?
I for sure do, yes. I think cross-training is so important for just, staying recovered, exploring other interests too, just to stay as a well-rounded person.
Yeah, and you are. Good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a break for a second. We come back more here on Seven Rivers Sports.
With our busy lives, it's a comfort to know that we can still remember loved ones in a traditional way with a monument. Lewiston Monuments in Lewiston, Minnesota has been helping families purchase a monument for over 4 generations. You'll find a large selection of beautiful granite, marble, and bronze monuments, all at competitive prices. And they're a full-service company, so they also do straightening, cleaning, and repair of monuments. Stop in or call for a no-obligation consultation, or visit lewistonmonument.com for more information.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
Seven Rivers Sports. This week, Margaret Ho, an elite runner in the La Crosse area. Well, we talked about your high school and your college career, but then after high school, after college, 13 marathons, starting with winning the Madison Marathon in 2008, and then Boston 4 times. We've been to Boston with our daughter, and I know how that's full of energy and how much fun that is. Lakefront, Atlanta, Milwaukee, Grandma's. I know a lot of people that have run that. Eau Claire, Indianapolis. You just have covered the Midwest and beyond.
Yeah.
Let's go back to Boston. Your dad ran it too. Your sister ran it. I mean, that must have been. Was that the pinnacle of your experiences?
I wouldn't say it's the pinnacle, just because the first time I ran Boston in 2009, it was my second marathon, so I didn't really understand like what it meant to qualify for the Boston Marathon. It was more like once I got there and kind of realized that it's a big deal to qualify for Boston and run the Boston Marathon that I started like wondering how much better I could get at the marathon distance. The pinnacle for me for Boston is that I seem to add a family member every time I run Boston. So 2009 the first time, 2013 the second time my dad qualified and also ran it. My mom qualified and ran the third time in 2016, and me, my parents, and my sister Abby all ran it in 2018.
Yeah, emotional, huh?
Yeah.
So you've influenced and you've gotten your family to get involved. maybe you could do the same thing with a friend like me. You could take me along. And
yeah,
that's one of my goals too. But I don't know. I'm not sure if I think time is running out for Terry.
It's my oldest sister's turn next time. She's running her first marathon now, so Emily better get on it.
Good. So any of those other marathons that were either surprising to you or just any takeaways from any of them?
You know, I'd say the last marathon that I ran, the Indianapolis Marathon, kind of meant the most to me in that I was trying to qualify for the Olympic trials, which for females in my age group is a 2:45 or faster. I was right within that range at the Lakefront Marathon last year with a 2:49, and so I decided to try for the Indianapolis Marathon about 5 weeks later, just take one final shot at it. I got a 2:51, so a little bit far off, but it really meant the most to me to kind of give it all you have when you can.
Yeah, and well, you've done it, but then other races, the Hickson 25, another 50K, the Voyager 50 mile, the Berkey half marathon, first in your age group. So you have stretched from marathons to ultra marathons and other challenging races.
Yeah, so that's really started when I moved to La Crosse, since we do have such an awesome trail network here with the Hickson Trails and getting connected with the River City Running Club in the La Crosse area. With all those crazy trail runners who do like 100-mile plus races. I'm not quite at that level yet. But yeah, that's when I started getting into trail running and the ultra running, and when I started working with Trail Transformation to get coached to go those longer distances and also keep the speed up.
What impresses me too is, besides competing in all these races throughout her lifetime, and there'll be more ahead, volunteer in races. You've been a youth club track volunteer coach, written articles. This is just like, tell us about this one. You're named as Ultra Spire 2020 Immortal Athlete Ambassador.
Yeah, so a lot of different running like apparel companies or equipment companies often call out for like ambassadors to promote their business and their equipment on like Instagram and Facebook. So last year I was an ambassador for a company called UltraSpire, which does hydration equipment, hydration vests, different lights, and so kind of a win-win for both of us, because they get to work with athletes to highlight their products. The athletes get a bit of a discount on their stuff, which is otherwise maybe a little bit expensive. So yeah, that was a cool experience.
Well, that's quite an honor.
Mm-hmm.
In 2020, Mentor for high school senior was running their first marathon, and you, as a senior project, and you were the inspiration.
Yeah. So she reached out to the River City Running Club, and that's how we got connected. And so just kind of providing a little bit of guidance for her on like training for the marathon and what to focus on for nutrition and hydration and pacing. And so she's scheduled to do her marathon in about a month. So I'll be out there running probably part of it with her. I don't know if I'll do the full distance, but kind of trying to make it as real of a marathon experience as possible for her, because she was going to do the Madison Marathon before it was canceled.
This week, Margaret Ho, an elite runner in the La Crosse area, won all kinds of championships, highly impressive. One of the things that I enjoy about running my races, not to the length of yours, is the signs that are up that people hold. Like a couple of them that really caught my eye, and perhaps you can share any that caught yours, was one in Green Bay where somebody held a sign and said, "In your mind, you're a Kenyan." Which I thought was incredible.
Yeah.
Another lady, a bigger lady, held a sign up and said, "You think you're tired? I've been holding this sign for 2 hours." So there's a little bit of humor there, but have you seen any signs that just piqued your interest?
Gosh, I have such tunnel vision when I race that I don't really see what's going on around me. I really can't think of any off the top of my head.
Well, I know this will inspire you. The quotes. I think of quotes, I think of runners, I think of people that inspire me when I'm racing. So I'm going to just share a few quotes and you give us a quick response. 1, running is a bond between body and soul.
Completely agree.
In what way?
I think running if you run, you just become a better person by putting that effort into something each day. And you know, trying to make progress at something each day.
To give anything but your best is to sacrifice your gift.
I don't know if I agree with that one. I think it's a lot of pressure to ask somebody to do their best. I think it's better to ask somebody to try to improve as much as possible. Otherwise, they're sacrificing whatever gifts they might be able to develop.
Anyone can run downhill. Not many can run uphill, because at the top of the hill is where success resides.
I say downhill running is a lot harder than uphill running.
But that's sort of a metaphor, though. 'Cause going uphill that's where the promised land is.
Yeah.
So
once you get to the top and you get the awesome view, and then you get to run downhill.
simply getting by is okay for some people, but not for people like Margaret Ho. Just existing and so on and getting by is not okay, is it? You have a different view.
Area.
What motivates you?
I think just using what I have to help others, like using my running to hopefully help others in their running journey. I do think that there is limited time that people have, so it's okay if running isn't their thing. I just hope that everybody can find something that kind of inspires them to do better at each day.
Speaking of that, I read an article recently in the Running World magazine. It talked about the benefits of speed walking, like Dr. Fauci does now instead of running. Obviously, with the impact that running has on your skeletal system and so on. And this particular person who was a runner promoted speed and power walking. What's your thought on that?
Yeah, I really enjoy walking. Like, I probably go for a walk instead of a run about once per week. Just go out for a nice 1 hour walk. I think it's a good way just to, you know, get the blood flowing, get the muscles moving without having that level of intensity and pounding on everything. I think for a lot of people, walking might be a better fit for running, just to get outside and, you know, get active.
So if I come to you and I want to begin to get in shape and I want to begin to perhaps run, start with a 5K, maybe a half marathon, maybe I want to be a Margaret Ho and run a marathon. I come to you and I share the fact that I have no idea what to do, from apparel to training to be inspired to be encouraged, and I come to you. What are you going to say to me?
I'm going to say get a good pair of shoes. Like, don't skimp on shoes. Second, you have to walk before you can run. So start with walking. If you want to eventually run, start with building up your walking. If you can walk for an hour, get up to 4 miles of walking, and then start adding in, you know, 2 minutes of running for 5 minutes of walking, and then just gradually close those gaps to do more running than walking. Otherwise, it's just, you know, getting out there each day and gradually building, like very gradually, so that you can stick with it for the long haul.
I've read articles too about, you know, the COVID issue of running in races and training. So what are the guidelines and suggestions you have for our viewers, knowing that COVID is prevalent even in this community?
Yeah, so at least for the River City Running Club, we don't have group runs on right now, just to do what we can to help limit the spread. But I do think that running with other people and connecting with other people is a huge benefit to mental health, which only benefits your physical health. So if there are like 1 or 2 other people who you feel comfortable, know that they haven't been out like going to the bars every day or anything, then definitely connect with them to go for a run or a walk. From what I've heard, being outside is kind of the least risk of spreading anything. Being outside, maybe stand a few extra feet apart, run a few extra feet apart, but...
Well, like you and I did the day that we met. So
otherwise, just staying healthy. I mean, get out and exercise. It's going to be your best prevention.
You know, kind of like you talked about with bonding with other people is kind of what the Japanese do, which is they are committed to running. It's the second most successful and favorable sport, popular sport to baseball, and it just reminds me, running is the strength of the wolf is in the pack. In other words, your running mates and friends inspire you. So So as we close the show, what's the future for Margaret Ho?
Oh gosh. Eventually I'd like to take another crack at that Olympic trials qualifying time for the marathon. Next time the qualifying period rolls around, I'm gunning for that sub 2:45. Otherwise, eventually maybe go for that 100 miler. This year, I think my main goal is going to be to really dial in the 50K race distance. I think that's one of my favorite race distances, especially on the trail. Just kind of less pressure than the roads, a little bit more scenery and variety. But yeah, just have fun doing it.
There are people that you meet in your lifetime that totally inspire you and impress you, and Margaret Ho, you are one of those.
Thank you.
So appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back with some closing thoughts and some clips from a recent game right after this.
You know, the thing I'm most proud of when I think about our company is the reputation that we've been able to build in this community. Our technicians have done a great job going out and performing magnificent jobs for the customer. And our customers have rewarded us with some really great reviews online.
We have over 150 5-star reviews online right now. Our technicians do a great job out there, and our reviews show it.
We can say without hesitation, when you choose Schneider Heating and Air Conditioning, you'll be glad you did.
When you're faced with the decision of selecting a monument to honor someone dear to you, call Lewiston Monuments for a no-obligation consultation. Lewiston Monument is a full-service monument company, serving families in Iowa, Minnesota, and Wisconsin for over 4 generations. You'll find beautiful granite, marble, and bronze memorials, all at competitive prices. Their experts can help you design the perfect and unique memorial. Lewiston Monument. Call today or on the web at lewistonmonument.com.
Well, an exciting non-conference game on Friday as the West Salem Panthers would host the undefeated Aquinas Blue Goals. And now I'm going to start for the Blue Goals, as on the first possession, a bad snap over the head of Jackson Flotmeyer led to a safety. 2-0 lead for the Panthers early in the first. In the second quarter, Luke Knoll from 3 yards out and a Joseph Daly PAT. Then Jackson Flotmeyer to a wide-open halfback, Aiden Lee from 10 yards out for the first Blue Goal touchdown. The conversion pass failed, 9-6 Panthers at intermission. No scoring in the third, so we move to the final quarter. 2 more TDs by sophomore and our player of the game, Luke Knoll, from 45 and from 1 yard out. The Panther defense stiffened with senior standout C.J. McConkey, along with a pair of juniors, Noah LaFleur and Jack Haley, to prevent the Blue Goals from finding pay dirt. Flotmeyer was held to only 87 yards passing. Sophomore Calvin Hargrove rushed for 67 yards. West Salem ran for an impressive 209 yards, with Luke Knoll leading the way with 149 yards. Final from West Salem, the Panthers 22 and the Blue Goals 6. The 3-1 Blue Goals are at Onalaska on Friday, while the 2-1 Panthers travel to Nakusa. Well, that's it this week. I'm your host, Terry Erickson, hoping that you will have an active and a healthy week ahead.